Hello, my name is Kaleb. I'm here with you today to present to you my senior project that I did with the Little League team, the Ulysses Pirates. Baseball has been called the American pastime for the past century. It's got to be that way through the numerous fans that watch the sport and the numerous age groups that participate, all the way from kids in elementary school to adults participating in major leagues. I myself participated in the Little League. That's what really led me to select the project, along with my love for working with kids. They always can bring a smile to my face and are very enjoyable to be around. Sports was a big contributing factor. I've been a student athlete for as long as I can remember. I've always enjoyed being around sports and watching sports. I chose to work with the Pirates because that was the Little League team I played for, and I know the community very well. I played there for 4 years, and that's why I really understood and knew about the project site and where it was. It's located in Ulysses after a left turn at the bank on Main Street and on top of the hill. When I played there, it was kind of run down and beat up, and as you can see, my family and I painted the bleachers and the dugouts black and gold, the team colors, my last year being there, and since then it's been very well kept and well managed, and the program has just built upon itself since then and is very well kept now. My time there led me to know the community real well, and I know who the head coach is now, and that is Rod Coburn. So to get started, I immediately got in contact with him. Over the phone, I asked if he would be interested in having any help with the coaching staff during the 2012 season. He looked forward to that, and I also asked if he'd be interested in serving as my supervisor for my senior project. He was very interested in that and willing to help me out with that. We discussed what my duties would be, and during practice I would serve as a coach and run drills and participate in practice planning in games. I would keep track of the record book and the stats and help make coaching decisions. He also mentioned possibly serving as an umpire from time to time. The next day I showed up to a practice to observe and meet Rob. He gave me a background check required by the Little League. This is a photocopy of that. As you can see, I needed to fill out my name, my address, and my phone number, my occupation. I also had to send in a photocopy of my driver's license so they could confirm who I say I am. I also needed to list 3 references that they could call to double check my good character and my standings in the community. They did call 2 of the 3, my mom and my aunt. The next day I went up again and began practicing with the team. Coach introduced me and my brother to the team, and we began practice. That night I created a photo release form to make sure it was alright that I photographed and the team and the fans, and sent that home the next day with all the kids. That was a photocopy of that. We got those all returned with the player signatures and the parent signatures giving us permission to photograph. So we began immediately photographing for the PowerPoint. Through the whole project, I used a lot of creativity and skills that I really didn't think I would have to use. Of course, I used knowledge of the sport when I was teaching the kids different things, and understanding the rules were very important. My athletic abilities, I didn't think I was going to use those as much as I did. Decision making was a very key factor during practice and games. Skills like communication, mathematics, and writings, I really wasn't expecting to use them as much, but it really surprised me in the fact that I used them quite often. And practice planning, I had to be very creative and keep it interesting for the kids. We use these in practice, like we'd show up early and communicate and discuss practice planning and what kind of new drills we'd run to keep the kids interested and make sure they wouldn't lose interest in the sport and wouldn't have any inclinations in quitting. Participating is where my athletic abilities really came in. Whenever we came up with a new drill, Rob would always ask me to demonstrate or show the kids how to do it. I also would go out and play catch and warm up with all the kids before every practice. During a game, communication was again very important, working with our own coaching staff and the coaching staffs from around the league. Decision making was super important then because we were always focused on what new substitutions need to be put in and what calls to be made. Record keeping is where the math and writing really came in. I had to keep track of the pitch count and totals of balls and strikes in my head. My writing in the record book needed to be legible so that the other teams, managers, and coaches could read that easily. And again, participating, I would go out and help out by warming up with the kids before every inning to make sure they were ready to participate. Throughout the whole project, I learned so much about what it meant to be a coach, what it meant to be an umpire, and I learned more so about myself. As a coach, working with the parents was an activity that it really didn't expect to be a chore that I thought it was going to be. Each of the parents were kind of different, and some of them became discontent with how much their kid was getting to play, and they would sometimes confront us as a coaching staff and would voice their opinions. Sometimes it would end in a heated argument, and we would often have the parents just walk away and let it cool off, and we'll revisit the topic later. Sometimes it could be resolved, sometimes it couldn't. I learned working with the kids, you need to adapt different coaching techniques for each one of them to give them the best learning environment you can. And working with the rest of the coaching staff was very important because I guess as a player I've never really learned how much and took for granted how much time the rest of the coaching staff puts in. And as a coach I finally figured that out and saw that you'd come early to every practice, stayed late after every practice, and same with every game, just to make sure you were ready and knew what you needed to work on and what needed to be done to get ready for the next game. Coordinating with the other coaches and staff from around the league was something I really didn't think you had to do as much either. We very quickly started missing games due to weather, so we always had to be scheduling makeup games. We had a wooden bat tournament at the end of the season, so we had to schedule that and plan that with the rest of the coaches. As an umpire, I of course took the rule book home and refreshed my memory with some of the rules because I thought that was very important to make sure I understood everything before I served as an umpire. I learned as making calls, you need to be fast and honest with every call. You can't doubt yourself, and you've got to be loud enough for everybody to hear you on the field so no one will question your calls. I learned very quickly that being an umpire is a thankless job. You're always dealing with players, fans, and coaches that are disagreeing with one of your calls, so you're always trying to let that just roll off your back and not let that affect your next call. Like I said, I learned probably the most about myself through the whole process. Working with children was something I learned that I greatly enjoy and look forward to doing that again in the future. And things that I have to work on was mainly I've got to work on my patience. I thought I had enough to get through the project, but at times I felt that working with the younger kids I kind of needed to work on that a little bit more. I also learned that I need to be a little more outgoing with the coaching staff. At times I kind of kept my opinion to myself, and I kind of regret that when it comes to planning the practices and not giving more input. I learned that small town teams like that are still huge to a community. It gives the community something to stand behind and support. I learned that future coaching opportunities may present themselves to me, and I look forward to taking them if I can, time permitting, because I just enjoyed it so much. Through the whole project, I made a lot of memories, and just like the lessons learned, I'll probably never forget them. The coaching staff itself was just so much fun to be around. Rob and his dad, John, made every practice and every game more fun than it was work, and I always look forward to showing up to practice and working with kids and just getting to know them a little bit better. The players were just outstanding. They were always joking around and a lot of fun and really kept me on my toes. One of my favorite memories was on the first practice I was there, one of the kids came up and asked me what major league team I played for, and I had to inform them that I wasn't quite old enough for that yet, and they were kind of disappointed, but they thought it was still very cool that I was out there helping them out. The fans, although we had some of the confrontations, I enjoyed working with all of them. Some of the parents I've grown to be good friends with and still keep in good contact with till now. One of my proudest memories is one of the parents came up to me and told me how her son won't stop talking about the team and how much he enjoys having myself as his coach, and that made me feel very proud, and I felt that my time was very valuable and that I was doing a good job being there with the team. All in all, I think that it was more fun than it was work, and it was just an outstanding experience, and I don't regret it at all. I look forward to coaching in the future if I get the opportunity. I've already set up with Rob, returning for the 2013 season and helping out again, so I'm looking forward to that process again, but without the umping, hopefully. But thank you for your time. Any questions?